trying to find good light. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. There we go. That's good enough. This summer, I'm basically going to be trying to go on a big recycling project, trying to basically figure out how to go from taking black polypropylene containers, which are very common in takeout, and currently in the city of Toronto, at the very least, like, we can't actually recycle these, so we're told by the city to throw them in the trash instead of putting them in the recycling, which is pretty frustrating because if you look on these containers, they have the recycling symbol. You can recycle black polypropylene. We just don't have the capability in the city of Toronto right now based on the way we detect that stuff at these, trash management centers. There's a whole bunch of black polypropylene that's just getting thrown into the trash all the time in Toronto every single day, and we're doing absolutely nothing with it. And I mean, even outside of that, there's a huge recycling problem where we really just aren't using enough of the plastic that is recyclable. Like, it's just going into waste, into landfills anyway, even though we could be doing more with it. I've been getting into 3D printing a lot more in the last year or so, I would say, and it's been a lot of fun, but very quickly you're going to start accumulating a whole lot of PLA, the most common plastic that's used. And I mean, even if you have that stuff, you don't necessarily know what to do with it after that point. Like you start printing with this plastic, and then you're going to start wasting a lot of that stuff very quickly, and you're probably going to need to either just throw it away and understand, okay, I mean, this stuff is supposed to be biodegradable, the PLA, but even at that, it still takes a long time, and you're not really supposed to put it through the traditional recycling systems. All the PLA that we're using for 3D printing isn't really fixing the problem at all either. I mean, it's a cool new way of manufacturing products, but nothing about 3D printing in itself alone is, contributing to our plastic problem. It's probably only making it worse, really, in fact. So I like 3D printing, and I think there's promise to that, but I'm also trying to think if there's ways to basically make more use of all these, household plastics that we're dealing with all the time, right? Like, we can do more with this stuff, potentially, right? Like, without even having to go through the traditional sort of landfill process. Maybe there's more that can be done with these household plastics in a 3D printing sense, so that I don't really even have to buy more PLA necessarily, right? I can just try to use more household plastics in the future and figure out how to print from those always. So these are my plastics, and I'm trying to accumulate these bit by bit, and I got a long way to go. But in addition to just collecting this stuff, how am I actually going to do something with it? Well, that's where I've started doing a lot of research. I've found this website, preciousplastic.com, that basically has come up with these open source ways of developing plastic shredders, plastic extruders, other types of machines. I'm not really interested in some of the end result tools, but I am very interested in particular in their plastic shredding capabilities and the extruding parts, because basically what I want to do is I want to go from taking like polypropylene plastic from my own recycling, and then putting that through a plastic shredder, then taking those shreds, probably cleaning them first, and then putting them through an extruder, which will allow me to turn it into either plastic pellets or plastic spool from there. So I'm also probably going to, I already have done enough research to know that I'm going to need a new type of 3D printer to print with polypropylene based on the physical properties of the polypropylene. It's a little bit more flexible than some of the other stuff that some of these 3D printers are used to working with most of the time. So there's certain things I need in a better printer that I'm going to have to get as well too. So three big purchases this summer ultimately are going to be: 1, everything I need to make a shredding machine; 2, everything I need to make a extruding machine; and number 3, I'm going to be buying a new printer, and I want to try to find a good one for experimenting with appropriately, that, you know, I can sort of fix and take apart. I mean, I don't want to be building a 3D printer from scratch, but I want to have one that I'm comfortable sort of breaking into and fixing things if necessary, because if I'm putting recycled polypropylene spool into these things, it would not surprise me if I run into some issues along the way, versus just using these perfect, fresh spools that you get from companies for putting in these printers. So there's a lot to be done. I've just as of, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, I purchased the parts for the shredding machine, or sorry, the shredding component. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that needs to go into it. I'm gonna have to build out a hopper. I'm gonna need a frame. I'm gonna have to find a motor. I think that probably summarizes just about everything I need to talk about today, just to at least get some thoughts out. But yeah, basic idea is start trying to understand this recycling problem a little bit more, trying to understand everything about plastics, trying to just sort of understand recycling better, and then hopefully condense some of that knowledge and actually be able to share it with others, and, you know, help others maybe understand what they can do, or how we can, you know, solve these types of problems. I don't know if there's much else to say other than that right now. It's going to be a long journey, and I'm really going to try to record as much as possible along the way. I think it'll be useful to just at least document some of this stuff now,